Hi, I'm Chandler,
Hi, I'm Jacob. Right now we're outside of Fleming Law Building. It is 3:02 p.m.
and today we're going to answer the 4 questions for human-centered computing. The first question is, I can use an example to explain why we need to consider different physical and mental abilities.
Okay, so one example of need that requires consideration towards different physical and mental abilities when designing the disabled people in mind. There are many different types of disabilities, from physical to mental disabilities. Therefore, good design must consider the best way to cater to disabilities as a whole. An example that is good design and also caters to blind people are doors that have braille on the entrance so that a blind person can know what door they're opening and where they're positioned around the building. For example, north, west, east, south. If they read that in braille, they know which part of the building you're in. So now moving on to question 2, which asks, when asked to improve Uber, I can suggest features aimed to encourage drivers and passengers to be more courteous to each other.
One feature that I would add is a friendship attribute, where the driver has the ability to establish a driving record with the passengers. The idea for this feature is to allow passengers to be driven by the same driver if they enjoy their company. If the driver is driving for Uber and the passenger requests a ride, the driver with the matching friendship parameter will be notified of the passenger's request. The idea behind this feature is to promote a more personal driving experience between the driver and the passengers of Uber. The third question is, I can use CloudPet as an example to explain the consequences of not paying enough attention to user development.
Okay, so during the development of CloudPet, the developers of CloudPet do not require strict password requirements during user development. Additionally, another consequence of not paying enough attention to user development when people were able to directly access sound recordings through the use of a direct URL, which could be obtained through the app when someone was logged in. Furthermore, on top of not requiring strict passwords, they recommended an extremely simple password during the tutorial to users, one of which was just QWE. Because of this, hackers were able to use very simple passwords to get access to a total of 2 million user recordings, emails, and passwords. So now moving on to question 4, which is, I can explain the difference between mental model and mapping.
Right. The main difference between mental model and mapping is that a mental model is a mental depiction of how something works, while mapping is used to give intuition as to how something should work. For example, let's assume that we are trying to understand how a light switch works. A mental model of this might assume that the switch is used to connect flow of electricity to the light through circuits. The outgoing wire from the light switch is designated to flow electricity to its designated light bulb. Mapping is different in the sense that it plays on human intuition. Let's continue the example of the light switch. However, we will consider a different scenario. Imagine we have a row of 5 lights. Below each of the lights are 5 switches. If I were to say turn on the first light, the user would evidently use the light switch that corresponds to the first light. This example demonstrates mapping because it portrays the effect of creating intuition for the user. Here the user is able to make sense of which switch controls which light. They were able to do this without this switch explicitly stating which light it is connected to. This is all possible through the use of mapping in design.
Okay, so this concludes our HCC quiz. Thank you.
Thanks.